What's up, guys? This is Brooke with Dodgers Nation. Today, we went out to Dodger Stadium to tour the new voting center being used for the election this coming November. Listen in as Dodgers President Stan Kasten and Secretary of the State of California Alex Padilla talk about the facility and how it will serve the people of Los Angeles for this year's election.
There's an awful lot of people here, probably because you miss coming to Dodger Stadium. Well, a lot of you, I guess, have not been here in a very long time. I myself haven't been here in like 12 hours. So, and I guess many of you don't ever get to be at this spot, which is maybe my favorite spot in Los Angeles, because the view in both directions is unique and something of which we are very proud. Anyway, I am happy to welcome all of you here today when we make this very, very important and unique announcement. As you know by now, we will be opening up Dodger Stadium as a voting center for this year's elections for the 4 days before, 5 days, I guess, 4 days before Election Day from October 30th through November 2nd. We'll be open here from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Election Day, November 3rd, we'll be open from 7 in the morning to 8 at night. Anyone who is registered in LA County can come here to vote electronically or to drop off your ballot. We offer lots and lots of parking. We can only, I think, accommodate 20,000 cars. We hope that should cover us for that day. Open air, social distance. It should be the most convenient place for people to come and vote. It is the most beautiful setting for people to come and vote. And we're very proud that we are able to work with our county and our state in pulling this off. As you know, Dodger Stadium has a very long and proud history of special events, from World Series and upcoming All-Star games to concerts, papal visits, but there have been few things as important as what we have been able to host here this year. We have the largest COVID testing in the United States that all of you passed on your way in Lot 1. You may have seen that. We are working in between the Fire Academy and the Police Academy every day, working with those agencies to help with training and things like that. And again, there's nothing more important than what we are going to do October 30th through November 3rd in providing more opportunities for everyone to get out and take their opportunity to vote. In addition, one other thing the Dodgers are doing, we have given all our employees a full paid day off on Election Day, and we are also encouraging them, if they wish, to sign up to be poll workers. I understand there is a need for poll workers, whether they want to work here at Dodger Stadium or anywhere throughout the county. We are happy for them to do that, and we hope everyone takes advantage of that. So I do want to thank and welcome our California Secretary of State, and he will tell you, longtime Dodger fan, Alex Padilla. He will be here to talk about all that went into making this happen and how proud we are of him for allowing us to be here. So, Alex?
Thank you, Stan. And I want to not just thank Stan, thank Naomi, the entire Dodgers organization for this partnership. I almost feel like just signing a contract and going to play tonight. But hey, we clinched, right? It's perfect time. But seriously, this is a big, big day when the Dodgers announced recently, or made the commitment recently. They were the first team in all of Major League Baseball to make this kind of commitment, to lend their facilities for the administration of the bedrock of our democracy. Right? We're free. Give us a second. Elections are the bedrock of our democracy, and I think everybody would agree that we are preparing for the most consequential election of our generation under unprecedented circumstances, right? 2020 just keeps coming. Earlier this year, if you recall, we had our primary in March, not in June. And so the primary election took place prior to the declaration of emergency because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the stay-at-home orders, and I don't need to tell all of you sort of both the health and the economic impacts of the virus and how it's really affected every facet of our daily lives. And elections is no different. And so as we work together with the governor, the legislature, voting rights advocates, and county elections administrators, we asked ourselves the question, how do we begin to prepare for November? Right? If you trust Dr. Fauci, we know one of two things is going to be the case come November. We will either not have flattened the curve, or we will have flattened the curve, but with the changing seasons, have a potential for another wave of coronavirus cases, maybe even another spike. And so immediately we knew that voting in a neighbor's garage was no longer going to be an option. Voting in retirement homes was no longer going to be an option for obvious reasons. And we went on the search for larger facilities that would accommodate the physical distancing and all the things that we need to do to create a safe in-person voting experience. And we're also promoting vote by mail. You guys have all been following the news, right? Every active registered voter in California is going to receive a vote by mail ballot in advance of the election. So the three options for how to return it: by mail, return postage is prepaid, to any drop box in the county convenient to you, or at any in-person voting location. But with an electorate across Los Angeles and across California that's large and diverse, we know there's a lot of people that are going to need that in-person voting location. And as we were searching for these smarter, safer venues, it was just welcome news that the Dodgers were going to be willing to lend the stadium as a voting location. So as Stan said, plenty of parking, plenty of space to spread out here and conduct a safe voting experience, not just on election day, but for several days leading up to election day. So voters have the option now. We're recommending everybody make their plan for how they're going to choose to vote, by mail or in person. However you choose, vote early. The more people we can encourage to vote early will mean shorter lines, smaller crowds, and a safer experience for people on Tuesday, November 3rd. The other great thing about facilities like Dodger Stadium, if there was ever somebody that maybe on the fence of whether I should vote, maybe I will, maybe I won't, not only are we making it easier, boy, there's going to be some memorable selfies being taken up here, not just with your I voted sticker, but look at all these retired numbers, right? LA's full of Dodger fans, and whether it's a view of the field, a view of the downtown skyline, or being up here in Retired Numbers Plaza, if getting a special selfie makes a difference in whether or not voters get out, then so much the better. So I think I'll kind of leave it at that and gear up for your questions. But again, a big thank you to the Dodgers organization. A little bit of a dream come true for me. I know I'm not signing a contract, but having been born and raised in Los Angeles, I was 8 years old, Stan, the year that Fernando Mania took this town by storm. And so as a young Latino kid playing Little League in Los Angeles, dreaming one day of maybe going to work at Dodger Stadium, well, I kind of am, just in a different capacity. So thank you all for being here. 40 days left, ballots go out in 2 weeks. So election season is upon us. Postseason for the Dodgers, election season for the rest of us.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Does anybody have any questions for either Stan or Secretary Padilla? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you talk about the safety procedures and protocols that will take place here during the voting season?
Sure, and I also want to give a special acknowledgement to Los Angeles County, and specifically Dean Logan, the Los Angeles County Registrar of Voters, because they're the ones that are making all this happen. So yes, if you come to vote in person at Dodger Stadium or any of the other vote centers in the region, it's kind of like going to the grocery store. It's not going to be the same as it was. Bring your mask, right? Bring your mask, and anticipate the signage calling for physical distancing. Election workers, all the poll workers will be outfitted with all the PPE they need to keep themselves and voters safe. So think of all the shields, the gloves, etc., hand sanitizer on hand, all the public health guidelines that are recommended or mandated will be incorporated into the in-person voting experience.
Will you have any masks on property for those that might forget a mask or something so they won't be deterred from voting? And second is, what are you guys doing to comfort people to entice them to come out to vote with the long lines you might be anticipating?
Yeah. So, will there be extra masks on hand? People forget theirs? Yes. The answer is yes. I got to tell you, just in the many, many stories of unprecedented years, we work every election with counties to make sure that there's enough voting locations and voting booths and ballots printed, etc. This year, we've had to partner to ensure we're also procuring enough sanitizer, masks, gloves, etc. Everything is being impacted by COVID. For people who are hesitant to come out, that's exactly why we have so many options over so many days for being able to vote. And however you choose, you will have a safe option. Vote from home, comfort, safety. If you vote in person, again, we're spreading the crowds out over multiple days. We have the physical distancing, all the public health requirements incorporated into the in-person voting experience. Californians will not have to choose between exercising their right to vote and protecting their health and that of their loved ones.
This may be something you could decide later, but I asked earlier about chairs, if people wanted to bring their chairs. Anticipating the long lines, will they be able to bring chairs or stools to sit on and move in the line fairly quickly, or will you just say no to that?
Well, I think for most locations it is, given that it's private property. Defer to the Dodgers and their security team on that. But if we do our job and educate everybody about their voting options and encourage everybody to vote early, I don't anticipate too long of lines on election day. We're expecting a great turnout. Vast majority, hopefully by mail, folks voting in person starting well before Election Day, and so we can keep Election Day an enjoyable and safe experience for everybody.
Can we talk more about vote by mail since we have you? We have, of course, heard the president cast doubt on the legitimacy, talk about it being a recipe for fraud. Can you talk about what goes into making sure each vote by mail ballot is legitimate?
All right, maybe now's a good time for that chair, because I got a lot to share. Look, we start with more than 21 million voters on the rolls in California. So every active registered voter is going to get their ballot in the mail automatically. I'm just going to go through this again because it's important for people to know, and I will get to the security elements. Despite the attacks on vote by mail, let's be clear. Voter fraud in America is exceedingly rare. Vote by mail is nothing new in California, nor new in many other states that have decades of experience with vote by mail. Not only is it successful, not only is it convenient, yes, it is safe and secure. And it's arguably the safest option to vote this November. Again, the comfort and safety of your own home. First thing to note, vote by mail ballots will be going out no later than October 5th. By state law, counties send vote by mail ballots to voters no less than 29 days before the election. So first week of October, start checking your mailbox. To return your ballot, I went through the multiple options: by mail, drop boxes, or bringing it in person. If you mail your vote by mail ballot back, it must be postmarked on or before Election Day. State law allows it to arrive up to 3 days after the election and still count. We've extended that deadline for this November to 17 days after the election. As long as it's postmarked on or before Election Day, it will be counted. We're building in that time frame in anticipation of any potential delays at the Postal Service. People are concerned about that. I still think it's a reliable option, but just in case, we've accommodated the timetable. And here's a great accountability tool. Any voter in California can sign up to track their ballot through the mail. Kind of like tracking your packages when you're shopping online. Go to vote.ca.gov, sign up for Where's My Ballot, and receive alerts by text message, by email, or by automated phone calls on the status of your ballot. You'll get a notification when the county sends you your ballot, so you can start checking your mailbox. All the way to the back end, when the county receives your ballot, you'll get a confirmation, and when your ballot has been counted. So great for transparency, great for public confidence in vote by mail, and frankly, great for accountability, because we'll be able to monitor for any bottlenecks or delays in Postal Service delivery and work with the Postal Service to ensure the timely delivery of ballots both to the voters and back to the county. And I think to your point about safeguards of vote by mail, just a couple of quick high-level things, but they'll go a long way in easing your mind. Let's start with the ballots themselves. Right? Every county, every election, it's kind of like currency. Every county, every election selects specific paper types with watermarks, other distinguishing features to prevent against fake ballots being inserted into the stream. That's been one of the conspiracy theories floated out there. Those would set off alarm bells, and so we're confident about that. Voters who return their ballot have to return it in the official return envelope. Each envelope has a unique barcode for that particular voter, so we use that both for ballot tracking and to ensure the identity of the voter. One person, one vote. It's one of the safeguards against double voting. When voters mail their ballot back, they have to sign the outside of that envelope, and the very first thing county officials do is compare the signature on the envelope against the signature on file as part of that voter's record to ensure a match. If a voter forgets to sign or the signatures don't match, then the county will attempt to contact the voter to cure any issues, because we want all legitimate votes to be counted, of course. So that and a lot more goes into protecting the integrity of vote by mail, and our elections overall, of course, are very secure and reliable.
Secretary Padilla, can you talk about the other large venues that you've secured to be vote centers? We've heard of SoFi Stadium, Santa Anita Racetrack. Are those confirmed, and are there others?
The others in this vicinity as well, Staples Center, right downtown. Bank of California Stadium, home of the LA Football Club, is lending their facilities. And it's not just here in Los Angeles, it's throughout the state. I think the Sacramento Kings were the first NBA team in California to land Golden One Center as an 11-day vote center. We've been partnering with Levi Stadium in the Bay Area, home of the 49ers, Chase Center in San Francisco, home of the Warriors, and many others.
For those that want to vote in person, even though they've received a ballot in the mail, should they bring those ballots with them to vote in person?
So,
if they don't, will they still be allowed to vote?
If you choose to vote in person, we recommend you bring the ballot you received at home to the in-person voting location. If you don't, you will still be allowed to vote. But if you can bring it with you, then that's preferred. And look, there's many reasons why some people may need to vote in person. Ballot replacement is one of them. If you lose it, if you make a mistake, you can come to an in-person voting location and get a replacement ballot. For some people, it's a matter of accessibility, right? How to use accessible voting equipment. We do have remote accessible vote by mail, but you can have access to truly accessible voting equipment at in-person voting locations. Some people may need language assistance to fill out their ballot. That is offered, right? Assistance in multiple languages at every voting location in the county. And finally, if you missed that voter registration deadline, you can show up in person and register to vote and still cast your ballot at any in-person voting location in the county.
All right, thank you guys. We're going to proceed inside for a quick photo op.
All right.
Secretary Padilla stand in our bobblehead character.
Go Dodgers!
And